what businesses can look forward to in Joomla 4. And this is going to be an interactive session. It's going to be basically, I will be trying my best to interview Joe. And Joe, I hope I won't put you in a spot. So yeah, we can get started. So are you good to start, Joe?
I'm good to start. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Perfect.
Good to see you, Parth. You're looking fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I haven't seen you for what, like 2 years or something now?
At least 2 years, I think. Probably.
Wow. Anyways, you look just the same as when I saw you last. So that's great.
Probably.
Well, yes, and it makes you look very, very sophisticated, very elegant. Nice.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Joe, I think you've been around for a long time from a Joomla perspective. I think so. When does your Joomla story start? Are you one of those guys who's been around since the Mambo days? Did you come around later? Can you give us a little perspective?
Well, first of all, I'm Joe, and I'm from Canada. And it seems to me, I've been watching this presentation all day, which was fantastic people. And I can't believe how laid back everyone is, because this is actually one of the most exciting things that has happened for Joomla in a long time, because we've been waiting for Joomla 4 for quite some time. And before I get into my part, I just want to say this. Thank you so much for all of the volunteers that made Joomla 4 happen, because guess what? Nobody has to do this. This is all done because people want to do it, volunteers. And this is actually really rather amazing. So thank you, all the people that put this all together, made this all happen. This is not trivial. This is super sophisticated stuff. Incredible software. If you had to go out and buy software or hire a company to build Joomla 4 for yourself, it would be very expensive software, wouldn't it, Parth? How many hours have gone into creating this? It's just been amazing. So I'm from Canada. I don't know if anybody knows where Canada is. Seems to me you've had Australia, you've had people from India, you've got people from all the other side of the world this morning and today and this evening. And I'm from North America, Canada. So I'm about 1 hour west of Toronto. I'm in a city called Guelph, Ontario, and if anybody cares. And it seems to me that North America has not as many Joomla enthusiasts as Europe does and some of the other continents do. So I'm the Joe guy from Canada, and I came into Joomla when it branded itself Joomla. It had just changed from Mambo to Joomla. The code base was still the same. You could still, with Joomla version 1, you could still put Mambots and do Mambo type things inside Joomla. And that's when I got into it. And the way I got into Joomla, which is a fantastic way for anybody to get into Joomla today if you're new, what I did is I went to the Joomla forum. And I registered in the Joomla forum as Joe Joomla, and I started to contribute what I was learning. And some of the things that I wanted to know how to do back at that moment in time is, well, how do I build Joomla websites locally? And it seemed to me that the majority of the people back then were all PC-based or Linux-based people. And I was a Mac guy, and I needed some Mac help. And it was hard for me to find my tribe, so to speak. So I started posting information that I was finding about how to develop locally using MAMP, which is a virtual server that you can put on your Macintosh computer and start developing Joomla websites. And I was writing articles about what I was learning and sharing. And the other thing that I did was I started trying to find, well, who are the Joomla people that are near me that I could get connected with. And I made it my point to get connected with people that I physically could get connected with. And then that was through Joomla user groups, which is a fantastic way to connect with Joomla. And I helped start a couple of Joomla user groups out here near where I live. And I met some of the best people that were, you know, from my part of the world. And some of those people were very, very involved in the Joomla leadership in the core. They were people that were doing some official work for the Joomla project. And I thought, oh, actually, that's a really cool thing to do, is to somehow get involved with Joomla on some sort of official basis. So I wound up gravitating my way and got on a Joomla team, which got me to the inside working of the Joomla project. And this is probably the most fantastic way to find every single who's who in the Joomla sphere. All the top people, you quickly start seeing their names, and then you get to find out where they're presenting and what they're doing. And then I got involved in Open Source Matters board for a period of time, which was absolutely incredible. And getting involved with Joomla on an official capacity brings tremendous benefits. If you belong to a Joomla team, you actually get a vote when there's elections. And what better way to have some sort of influence and impact on the way you want to see the Joomla project go? Because people post, you know, their manifests. They tell you, you know, if I was going to have a position in Joomla, this is what I would do. And then you could say, oh, okay, well, that's something that I can get behind, or not, and you have a vote. So that's how I got started, was to get around the people that make Joomla happen. And what's incredible about this is that everybody accepted me. I was not a back-end senior level PHP, SQL, you know, database developer. I'm a business guy. And I learned the front end. I learned the display layer, and I learned how to work with Joomla, integrating things. And Joomla was really, really powerful. And but I will tell you this. Back at the beginning, when I got involved with Joomla, I stayed with it because I talked to people who were senior level PHP developers. And they told me at the time that they examined the code of core Joomla, and they compared it to other systems and said Joomla was the best. And I believed these guys, I trusted these guys and girls, and I thought, okay, well, I want to be part of the best, right? So I stuck with it. And it was very, very exciting because what I was doing before I got involved with Joomla is that I was using like PHP Nuke. I was using other things to try to do stuff that everybody wants to do, which is to publish content on the web. So I have to tell you this, that, and I encourage anybody that wants to learn Joomla, is you got to meet guys like Parth and all these amazing people that presented today. And you can, in this day and age, you can interact one-to-one with all these people. And even though they're maybe computer science engineers, brilliant people, they will talk to you because you're a Joomla. And what better way to get connected with Joomla? And, you know, Parth, I'm more excited about Joomla, or I'm just as excited about Joomla 4 today as I was when I discovered Joomla 1.
Yeah.
Because it's an awesome bit of software. Every version of Joomla has been awesome. And you know what? Joomla 3 is not chopped liver. People are doing amazing things with Joomla 3. The majority of websites, you know, that are looking into Joomla 4 right now are currently Joomla 3. And I have to tell you, the little bit that I've been playing around with Joomla 4, oh my goodness, it's amazing. It's awesome.
Absolutely. I think, Joe, that's very interesting. I think our journeys actually start very similar. We started with Joomla back in the PHP Nuke times, and from PHP Nuke to Mambo to Joomla to and we kind of started similar. I mean, uh, like you said, we came in from a business perspective. We were trying to build things for some non-profits. This Mambo things looked really, really great. You could actually install zip files. That was unthinkable, right? If you played with PHP Nuke, I'm sure you must have pasted 40 lines of code in 50 different places to get some extension to work. So I guess you remember those times. So I think when Joomla Mambo came around, it was kind of really cutting edge, and it was able to kind of maintain that uh, greatness for a long time. And even today, if you look out there, there is really nothing like Joomla out there. I mean, the kind of flexibility it offers while offering a pretty solid backend. Uh, there's really few things that can give so much power in the hands of a business guy and who can end up doing so much without actually touching code and still be pretty secure in the knowledge that things are not going to break. I won't take names here about other systems, but having a good backend and being able to scale it and being able to do much more than what you would be able to do if you didn't have this great software to help you. I think that's one of the great powers of Joomla, and you said it right. Uh, Everybody is so accommodating in the Joomla community, whoever you are, whatever you do, and it's really great. I mean, you have been there and done that in that sense. That from being a user of Joomla to starting to know people within Joomla and actually contributing to back to Joomla in your own ways, you have come full circle, right? So you have kind of what I call it as different facets with which you interact with the project. You have kind of done that, and that's another very similar journey, I would say, because we started out, like I said, outside of the technology space. We got deep into technology, built our own extensions, did some very exciting things. Again, I volunteered in the project for quite a while as well. And I think it's very interesting how these different journeys go, and they give you so much, and you get to know so many people. You get a very much broader understanding. So, Joe, how did the business side of it start for you? When did you start actually exploring Joomla as a business, or business came first and Joomla provided one of the possible solutions, and that's how uh, you kind of went from there? How did that
So,
happen?
so this is really interesting. I remember back when I was getting involved with Joomla, there was a bunch of people that were doing incredible things for Joomla. And I remember some of them posting online and saying, today I am now earning my living full-time with Joomla. And I remember thinking, wow, that's really cool. You know, that this person was sort of dabbling in the Joomla community using Joomla, and then they made the jump from wherever they were employed to becoming an entrepreneur and self-employed. And today, some of those businesses are really impressive. So for me, I had no intention of getting involved in Joomla for a living. So what happened to me was that where I was, I saw how powerful Joomla was, and I brought it into my organization. So I worked at that time for a very large nonprofit organization, and they were using enterprise level, technologies for all of their business systems and also their external presence online. And it was really clunky. It was expensive. It was, hard to use. And I saw that Joomla was able to deploy very quickly microsites. Just boom, you could have a website up in no time and do amazing things with it. And I thought, well, what else could Joomla be used for in an organization? Not necessarily replace what we're doing, say from an enterprise point of view, but how could it benefit? And I thought, well, let's use Joomla as an intranet, internal communications. And I started creating the intranet for this organization. And it immediately provided benefits that were very, very powerful. What it did is it allowed internal communications to happen, which broke down silos between departments. It kept everybody up to speed on what was going on around the different parts of the company. So the way that I did this is I basically used Joomla as, like, say, a newspaper, and I gave each of the different departments their own section. So for example, if you go to a newspaper online, you might have an entertainment category or sports or world news or whatever. Well, I did this for accounting, for the warehouse, for the publishing department, and all these different departments, they have their own section. And I told them each month you need to publish a feature article, which would appear on the home page of the intranet website. So in the morning, when people went to the office and they fired up their computers, the first thing that came up was the intranet, the Joomla website, and they could quickly scan and see what each of the different departments in the company were highlighting. And it would even be stuff like, oh, so-and-so is having an anniversary, or somebody got promoted or whatever. And it is actually rather amazing how this transformed the company and made people who normally didn't interact with each other, how that caused them to become closer together. And then we made a resource area, so and places where people could go to get information that before they had to get up off their desk, go somewhere and talk to somebody about, where do I get this form, or what do I do in this situation. And this intranet became a very, very, very powerful tool. And then since that day, some of my biggest projects have been intranets for large international companies, for hospitals, for different organizations. So Joomla is an extremely powerful tool, not only on the public side, but on the internal corporate side as well too. And I think people are doing amazing things with Joomla in both areas.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we have seen some really big and impactful projects going up with Joomla. We ourselves did some work for the government of India. The Aadhaar portal, that's the unique identity program for India, is built on Joomla. Like you said, corporate is another big space where not just for microsites, but even intranets. I think intranets is a very, very powerful use case, Joe. And the transformative capabilities, if used correctly, are really amazing. And I think the example you gave, back when was this? I mean, what year are we talking about?
Oh, so in 2005, literally 2006, I was actually working on that intranet, and I personally did not know how to work with Joomla because this was all new to me. And because I got involved in the forum, there was a couple of people that connected with me, and they were really, really good Joomla developers, and they all wanted to learn at that time how to do things. So what they did is, which helped me, is that they said, we will build sites for, let's say, nonprofits. We can only do, so many projects a year. So if you have a worthy cause or whatever, and you need some people to build you a website, you could submit, to us, and we'll pick a project and do it for you. And this is how I came to learn how to use Joomla. Now, today, you've got all these websites that are out there that teach you how to use Joomla. Back then, there was none of this stuff. So we all were helping each other. Yeah. And I have people who are absolutely brilliant help me build websites. They were learning, I was learning from some of the best people that were in the Joomla community at the time, and it was fantastic. So and the benefit to me was that some of my very first websites that I ever, put online were for international organizations. So right out of the gate, we were doing sites for a high, visibility type organizations. And then so by the time, and again, I'm doing this while I have a full-time job with this company. And then I was with this organization for a half a dozen years or so, and we had accomplished everything that I came in to do for them. And there was really nowhere else for me, to go other than to sit there and maintain. And I thought, well, I'm a builder. I don't want to just sit and maintain. So I decided to leave. And again, I had no intent of being a Joomla-based company, but what was happening is people were coming to me and asking me, can you build a Joomla website for me? And I go, okay, sure. And
So that's when Joe became Joe Joomla.
That's what happened, is that I actually didn't ever have the time to go out and get a job, really. I tried to work for some other companies, but it was like short-lived, and I'm back, and Joomla started paying the bills because people would come. And the way I did this part, I'm not a back-ender guy. The way I did this is I found out what the client wanted and what they needed, what they were trying to accomplish. And because I have like a background in advertising and sales promotion, marketing background, I listen and go, okay, so what they need is this. And in order to create this that works with their business strategy, because Joomla is a tactic, right? A website is a tactic that needs to support your business strategy. And so I go, okay, so they need this, and I obviously can't do these things. So I had to go out into the Joomla community and find the people that were able to do these things. And I always went to really good people. So then Joe Joomla got a reputation for building really decent websites because I always picked people that knew their stuff, right? And being part of the Joomla community made it really easy to find people that know their stuff. So that's what happened to me. And I would find out what the use case was and what the scope of a project was, and then get the pieces that I need. Now, I did learn some of this, how to do things. So when it came to integrating things, just, adding things, but I got smart about, who I would, what extension would I use and put it in, because I know those developers, their reputation, they were using Joomla best practices, right? They weren't just winging things together. And, and some people would come to me and they would already have a Joomla website that had a problem. And I'd go in there and find out that, oh, they had every extension and plugin and component known to the Joomla sphere. And I have no idea who these people are that created these things. And then, you'd have to kind of, work through and find out where the problems were, turn things off, get rid of things, replace. And that's basically what happened for me. That's how I got involved in Joomla and became, Joe Joomla.
Yeah, awesome. So what next now that Joomla 4 is out? And I think we've been waiting for Joomla 4 for such a long time. So what makes you most excited about Joomla 4? What is that one thing that really says, Joomla 4 is the way to go? What is that?
Well, it's got to be one of the harder questions because there's no one thing. But for me personally, I work directly with the clients. So the thing that really jumps out at me right out of the gate about what's going on with Joomla 4 is that Joomla has the people that worked on the back end, the admin template of Joomla, and all of the things that are been inherent in this new Joomla admin and its capabilities has me very, very excited, because personally, if you launch a Joomla 4 website right now and you go to the back end, one of the things that Brian Tieman's session pointed out is that you want to simplify it. You don't want to overwhelm people. Like, you know, can you imagine the first day if you were a pilot and you sat in a great big, you know, airliner, and you saw all the gauges and all the buttons and all the knobs and everything, you'd be kind of overwhelmed. And that's what the super user dashboard of Joomla can do to a novice user. It can overwhelm them. So what's exciting is that how easy it is to customize the back-end user experience for the individual users or the departments that are going to be using it. So, you know, you could, by using the Joomla ACL, access control lists, you can create groups and create different things that user group will only see and use. So you could turn all the stuff off they don't need, and you can just make the user experience for publishing content on the internet a customized experience for that user. And so they log into Joomla. It's really simple. It's really clean. You can give them notes on that screen. You can customize that. Okay, make, you know, a big button that says, hey, I need to, you know, publish a blog article. As simple as that, right? One button immediately opens up a new page for a new article in the category that you know, that they're responsible for. And then, of course, if you extended Joomla by creating a custom publishing experience using custom fields and all that, they would just basically be filling out a form, which is really super, right? Headline here, body copy there. You want a video, stick that in there. You need a picture, here it goes. And then boom, click the button and publish it. Or if you need to use a workflow, if you have to get that approved by somebody else, okay, boom, send it on to the next stage. And then the front end looks brilliant. It's, you know, fantastic. So for me, I think one of the most exciting things is, now what I'm going to do is think about each one of the people that we already have as a customer and really fine tune the publishing experience for that person and make it just what they need, just what they want, right? And only that, and not more than that. Alex before me, that the whole APIs and webhooks and it's, oh my goodness, that's going to be another incredible thing that people are going to be able to take advantage of. Like, can you imagine the young people that were featured earlier in the Google Summer of Code sessions and all that? What young people who have this incredibly open mind, like fresh imagination, are going to come up with, that are going to be able to add value and create for the user in Joomla is going to be absolutely astounding. So for me, Parth, that personalized user experience is, to me, going to be one of the most exciting things about Joomla 4. I'm already excited about it. And you know, I have an intranet for my own business, and I customize the user experience for myself, right? And it was a lot clunkier, a little more difficult to do in Joomla 3, whereas in Joomla 4, it's like, these people really thought about make that back end like your custom house. Like, oh my goodness. So I don't know about you guys as say component and extension developers, but I think there's going to be capabilities in that area as well, that you can, you know, when you're creating your components and extensions, to create an experience in the back end for the user that's probably in advance of what you've been able to do. Would you say?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we are pretty excited, and one of the things that I'm really excited about is the performance, because the 100 out of 100 that Joomla 4 is able to get on the performance metrics on core web vitals out of the box, that is going to be really amazing, because that was one of the things that was always a pain. Of course, not so much with core, but by the time you kind of get your site off the ground with a template and some extensions, it ended up adding a lot of JavaScript, a lot of CSS, and then you have to actually work to kind of really slim it down. And we've done a lot of these large projects where scale is very important. So every kilobyte counts. And the best way to scale is first make sure that you're doing just enough. And I think Joomla 4 will make that easier. I just hope that more and more people are able to actually quickly move to Joomla 4. We'll, of course, with Techjoomla extensions, try and do that ASAP. We're already quite a way through most of the migrations of the extensions themselves. So we're hoping for our users it to be an easy upgrade. But one of the things that I'm really excited about in the core is web services. Yes.
Yeah.
Because we have been having COM API for years. I mean, I think we introduced APIs in Joomla first back in 1.5 when XML RPC still existed, like Alex said. Our first API extension came out back then because we were doing some, projects that needed us to expose data. And since then, we inherited COM API, then we maintained that. And I think API is one of the most starred repositories in our GitHub today, which is really the way to do Joomla web services. Besides, there's a few more ways. But I think at the same time, this was something that we always wanted to push back to the core. Ashwin was part of a few working groups to get it done. Though we couldn't spend as much time on it, we are really excited that finally the infrastructure for that to happen is now in core. It will still be a few years before we can, rest about COM API, pardon the pun. But we are really excited to see that it goes into the core, and then that's less work for us, right? Because then if more things have APIs, we don't have to actually keep doing them. All extensions will hopefully start baking it in, which will really make your Joomla site very, very powerful. And the other thing that I'm really excited about is how the concept of horizontal extensions, which was established back in very early days of Joomla 3, right? With things like COM categories, COM tags, and all of these extensions being available as building blocks, which any extension could come in and build in. And then custom fields came to the fore. And now we have workflows coming in, web services coming in. So I think it's going to make it much more fun to build new workflows and new extensions on top. It will need some rework because till these pieces were missing, people have built their own stuff. But once we can actually start using these from core as a group of extension developers, I think it's going to make it life much more easy for integrators, because then all extensions will be talking the same language in terms of access control, in terms of workflows, in terms of custom fields. That makes things way, way, way more simpler for an integrator. Bootstrap 5, I think that's another good thing, but that's going to be a function of I'm playing a wait and watch on that, because I haven't really explored that in depth, not Bootstrap by itself, but how tightly is the CSS framework coupled. I think what I've been hearing is that it's not tightly coupled, which means that I can practically on the front end remove the CSS framework and put in what I want. But we'll want to kind of get our hands dirty with that to understand that. But that's one piece where I think if extension developers can find a better way, because what happens is that Joomla core has always been light, and now they have made it really, really light. But when you start putting extensions into the mix, the CSS and JavaScript that they introduce, how can we reduce that overhead? I think that's going to be key for us, because at the end of the day, an integrator wants to get a website up that is speedy, irrespective of how many extensions he adds on there. So, but really happy that core is getting more and more powerful. And that means that extensions don't have to do things that should be done by core. And extensions can focus on doing some specialized jobs that they are really good at. So that's really our take, and super excited for sure, because this is, like you said, this is one of the biggest releases in the last 10 years, probably since Joomla 3.0, maybe. So yeah, big.
Another one of the things that's absolutely brilliant about Joomla 4, which I think will help the adoption of Joomla 4, is the whole process to move to Joomla 4, which is actually right in. So Joomla 3.9.10, is it, that is out there that people will go to the most current 3.x series of Joomla will actually tell them, here we go. Because I remember the experience of going from, let's say, 2.5 to 3, and you actually had to go and investigate, well, which third-party extension is the best migrator, to do all these things with, and 1.5 to the 1.7 and then 2.5, but the fact that it's brought it in-house into the core to do is brilliant. I think that, to me, is a very, very important feature for this version of Joomla. Bringing that function in to the actual CMS itself is a very, very smart, very strategic move. And of course, getting the report that tells you, okay, these extensions are okay, these ones are not ready, or whatever, help you make fantastic decisions about how you go there. Like I'm going to be testing, migrating some of my Joomla 3 sites on a local server, starting with my intranet, which is my most important website that I own, and see how it goes, right? And if it goes well, it will be very exciting. So to me, I think I'm going to predict that the adoption of Joomla 4 will be a lot quicker than, say, the adoption of Joomla 3 was back when that first got released. That's just speculation on my part, but I think whoever thought of it and worked on that piece did a very, very smart move.
Yeah, I think it's a very important message to send out to the community as well. Historically, major versions for any software is a hard thing to happen, because usually what you want to do is you're kind of struggling with two things, right? You want to have the latest technology, but you want to support your old users. And there are some software that are built in such a way that they will always adopt the latest, and then users have to catch up. It's hard for them. I know Drupal used to do that quite a bit. WordPress has always been on the other end of the spectrum. Even if there is a lot of tech debt, they'll still make sure that upgrades are easy. Joomla, I think, tried to do the best of both worlds and has been generally successful. But I think the biggest problems we had were after Joomla 1.5, when the migrations to 2.5 and then on to 3. And we probably lost a lot of the audience back then. But at the same time, I think it was important that Joomla adopted new practices and kind of moved to more mature circles, and ensured that the users that were using it got the best software possible. So I think these decisions are always hard, but I'm really impressed that while taking a decision that we are going to be adopting the latest possible, the project has taken a stand that will make it very easy for the users. So like Brian said in his session, this is not a migration. It's not technically a migration, because it's going to happen in the same Joomla instance. You're not going to be creating two different instances and moving things around. It's not massive. Yes, there is some work involved because technology has changed. The front end, for sure, the template will be work. But if you haven't updated your website in the last 3-4 years, might as well get to it now, because it's a design overall. But your backend isn't going to move much. You'll get all the benefits. You'll be able to move pretty cleanly to the new version. And template wise, I'm sure all the template clubs will make the job easier, because they will release templates that are compatible. So people who have done their own custom templates, they'll have some work to make sure that whatever CSS framework they're using plays well with Joomla 4. But I think template clubs will play a big role, though it will add some overhead, I believe, because the reason it's going to be easier with template clubs is because they have their own layers of abstraction CSS on top. But that also makes it easy for the end users, that they don't have to worry about all the tech behind the scenes. So all in all, I think you're right. That's probably the biggest and most important part of Joomla 4, that while it's bringing so many great things, it isn't alienating people away. It isn't making it hard for people from Joomla 3 to move to Joomla 4. Of course, what will be very interesting to see is that from today, how does the Joomla 4.0 download counter start to kind of ramp up numbers? And I think a big pressure on extension developers is going to be making sure Joomla 4 extensions are available now. It's finally out. It's August of 2021. It's been late coming, but it's out. And now the race is on. We need to make sure that extensions are out there, because every Joomla site that gets built, every new Joomla website that gets built now on, is going to be a Joomla 4 site. So I think those extensions that are going to be compatible will get used. And yeah, I think everybody just needs to ramp up, and it will be a very interesting couple of years from now
You know, this couldn't really have come at a better time. The world needs something to get excited about after
on.
taking such a kick
Right.
over the whole, you know, COVID-19 situation. And I know we're, you know, the world at large still struggles in that, but I think we're coming through this, and it's nice. It's like new things, new excitement, new hope, new tech. Very, very interesting, the timing of this, because you know, my clients, a lot of them, their businesses really did suffer because they service or sell products to, you know, the general population, and those people have been, you know, affected as well too. So, you know, when you come out of these sort of situations, you do need things to get excited about. And I think this is something that's very, very worthy of being excited about. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I think it's been a great day, right? I mean, celebrations started in Australia in the morning, and we have events all day today, and they'll continue well into the night. I hope not the same speakers are not speaking at every event, especially people who were involved in the release. Phil, till the last minute, did not show me his videos, so I'm sure he must be pretty busted. But yeah, I mean, release days are awesome, and this is a big day for all of us.
Yeah, no, it's a very exciting day. We've been waiting for it for a long time. And like I said before, you know what? Good things really do come to people that are patient. And I think this is a good thing. I know that there's been little bumps along the way, and, you know, it is a volunteer community. And I've watched that, you know, relationships, and yes, there's been good times, bad times, and other times. But finally, it all seems to have come together. And I cannot tell you how absolutely impressed I am by what I'm seeing and what the people who have been involved have done. My hat goes off to these people. I salute them. They are amazing. They are so talented, and they are bringing capabilities and functionalities to the world at large that back in, you know, the 90s, you would only dream about these things, you know. So it's been an interesting journey, and I think young people who jump into this brand new, you know, that don't have any of that history, are being handed something that is absolutely phenomenal, and they will do brilliant things with it, and then we're all going to be beneficiaries of it. And so, and it's time for me to start, you know, as a tradition, every time there's a major release of Joomla, I redesign my Joe Joomla website.
Okay.
And, you know, it's time to look at that and say, okay, what's it going to be now? What's it going to look like now? It is. I did a presentation years ago where I showed what the first Joe Joomla site looked like. I used, like, you know, a Rocket Theme template back then. No, it was Joomla art. I used a template back then, and each time I've gone along, it's gotten a little better. It's gotten a little, you know, more customized and all that. Now it's like, oh my goodness, it's like being let loose in a candy store. What am I going to do now? You know, you mentioned things like pages. That's a technology that has been developed by a group of people, including a former founder of the Joomla project. It's amazing. It's just like, oh my goodness, I have so many decisions to make. Which way am I going to go? It's actually going to be awesome. And some of the things that people showed today were brilliant. Like, you could have spent an hour on one item. Like, oh my goodness, you know, the template plugin snippet thing inside your content. That in itself is like Yes, you could kind of do that with, Joomla 3, but oh my goodness, this is like, imagine the sophisticated sections that you can, just snip it and throw in templates that you could do for your clients and stuff. Brian's session, every single item that he talked about, the accessibility part, oh my goodness, we could talk about this for like an hour or more, all on its own. There's just so many really, really good things. So if you're not excited about Joomla 4, all you need to do is go and listen to some of these things that people have been presenting today, and you're just going to be blown away by each and every piece of it. And I think we're going to see the rise of Joomla 4, like it's and we're bringing. You made a great point. We're bringing the Joomla 3 community along, whereas I think in the past what happened is that Joomla had to start all over again because it was difficult for a lot of people to make a leap, from Joomla 1.5 to make a big leap to get to the most recent one. So I think we lost a lot of our community and users then. I think our chances of bringing our Joomla 3 community forward are fantastic. So we're not necessarily reinventing the whole Joomla brand all over again.
So generally, Joe, now for the business, what's the Joomla 4 strategy? How will you increase awareness with because traditionally, I remember, generally when it's a migration, it's always a hard communication with the customer because they're not sure what is it in it for them. And it's a hard conversation to have sometimes if the benefits that the new version is bringing doesn't really bring much for their use case. So how do you plan to sell Joomla 4?
So each individual client has a different business model and a different purpose for their website. And, they're really not wanting cookie cutter solutions. They want custom solutions. They want something that is relevant to them. I don't need this. I want that, right? And I think for the businesses that are out there, including mine, is that the better you know your existing clients and what their needs are, the more you're able to show them what the future can be for them and get them excited about it. So as a salesperson, anybody that's been in sales knows that the easiest sale is your existing client. If you've got a really good product and if you've got something of value to offer that they like already, then to show them, the future and what's available, that's an easy sell. So my existing clients are going to be the immediate beneficiary of what Joomla 4 can do for them. And the way that I think that I'm going to approach it is that I'm going to create personally for myself little Joomla 4 distributions that are examples based on what that individual customer does frequently or the most important things they do. So I'm not going to just show them, everything that Joomla 4 can do. I'm going to show them the things that Joomla 4 does that they would like for themselves and show them a custom back and administrator, user experience that makes it look like the whole Joomla 4 team did this all for you. They did this to cater to you.
Nice.
And that's how much they care about your user experience. So, even though there's so many things that you use a website for, I think there's enough inherent in Joomla 4 that you can pick the things that are very relevant that can cater to the customization of the user experience. Like I took Joomla 4, the last release candidate was at release candidate 6, and in no time flat, I completely customized the back end, the admin, including the messages on it, the colors of it, everything, to make it look like this is like a homemade, cake that was made only with you in mind. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, so-and-so's going to love this. These people are really going to benefit from that. So that's how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to try and be all things to all people. I'm going to go, okay, I'm picking this. This is what they do. This is what they need. This is what they want. This is what's important. These are the things they like. Now I'm going to put this together in an experience for them using Joomla 4. And they're just going to go, wow, this is actually really cool. And that's how I'm going to approach it. And I think
that's amazing. I think that's amazing strategy. You are effectively going to be using the power of Joomla to show off Joomla, being able to rapidly prototype and customize and curate an experience. And that's your sales strategy. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's most of my clients are not going to use the workflow because they don't have that. They're not big. But that'll be perfect for the ones that are organizations that do have multiple people involved in the approval process, and that'll be perfect for them. So I won't need to show that part, and why would I? And I think this is going to be easy, a lot easier to get people to move forward than ever before. And what's wonderful about this is that for me, we could actually be working with the Joomla 3 clients, with their Joomla 3 websites, what we've been doing for them all along, and then on the back end saying, okay, we have this project that we're working on together. We're going to make this perfect for you. And so we're going to be able to go from where you are to where you want to be. And so we're already engaging in a project with them, just like that, right? And I can't even imagine. I think it's going to be fantastic for agencies and for freelancers, for entrepreneurs. So the people that are just learning Joomla, this is a lot of stuff to put on their plate. And so I think people are going to be looking for the ones that are the most knowledgeable about Joomla 4. So how do I get to where I heard Joomla can do this? How do I get to where I want to be when I'm, like I was way back in 2005, when I basically was a Joomla newbie. I didn't know anything, but I knew this person, I knew that person, I knew that company. There's Joomla web-based companies around the world that do amazing things, and these become resources for my clients to be able to integrate, with what they do. We've used your company for resources for things that are just proper for that client, and you've been great because you've been listening to how does my client use the things that you've created. We talked about this before, right? So I've got a client that uses one of your big applications in a big way, which is that learning management system, Shika. And then of course, you talking to me going, oh, well, the client should integrate like J ticketing with this as well, show you how it works. And then you going, so Joe, how is your client liking what they are seeing? And I give you feedback and you listen and you're going, oh, okay, yeah, well, tell your client that we're going to address that for them. One of those things was, you're giving them a hope that the product that they're using that's so important for them, and they're using it in a powerful way. They're becoming like power users of that LMS system, and they're saying, oh, but if it did this, it would be even better than it is. And your company has been fantastic because you've listened and you've gone, okay, I hear what you're saying. Let's see how this, because not only does it make my clients' user experience and business better, it helps your other clients because they have great ideas, right?
And that's the great thing about being in an open community, right? that there is a great cross flow of information, and that can really help match your people. It can help match your products, and all in all, it creates a very, very powerful ecosystem.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. So this is very exciting for everybody. And I think the more that we all know about what we're all doing, the better, because some people are thinking of things that we never thought of.
Yeah.
And then when you hear it, you go, oh, I think I could do that. You know,
Yeah.
I think that would be worthwhile.
I think it's a place where your horizons are continuously, you're always seeing new horizons, because you're meeting new people every day. You're hearing new ideas every day.
Yeah.
Maybe heard some really amazing sessions. I think a lot of new things. Though I've been exploring Joomla for, there were a few things that I had never even seen. I didn't even realize, and there's going to be more. Right? It's a pretty big upgrade. So I think we'll start peeling the onion and start discovering some very interesting things in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very grateful for companies like your own that are there, that stay in touch, with us, let us know. Doing an event like this to let people know, that Joomla 4 is awesome, and it's now here it is. So what are we gonna do with it? We're the beneficiaries of all the hard work that all those incredible volunteers did. Smart people.
It's a huge effort, I think, getting a release like this out and staying at it for years, right? This is not a small project.
Not at all. No. And, I'm seeing faces, even our current president is the guy that Robert was like right there back at the beginning.
Yeah.
Still involved. There's people when I go to, and hopefully we'll be able to get to live events again, where we
really
can
looking
actually
forward to those.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking forward. I would love to see developers conferences that, where you've got developers that have all your tribe, right? That can get together and say, this is, what we're doing. Somebody said, well, this is what we're doing, and being able to collaborate that way. I think the Joomla community has been great for, say, the integrators and the end users and fun, but I would surely love to see a developers community that is even greater than what we see at the users community, because it really benefit the users community. I see these two as separate entities, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because
instead of trying to always mix it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think each of those different users of Joomla can bring something very different to the table and take away something different. They can deploy it in very different situations. So I think the bigger and broader we can make this community, the possibilities with Joomla become even more limitless, and we open up new horizons.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be a really interesting year. So Joomla 4 is out today.
Yeah.
After we're finished here today, I'm going to go and update my release candidate site to the official stable release, and I'm officially a Joomla 4 guy, right?
Yeah.
And
I have a test site that I've kept around since the beta days to keep testing, and that's going to get an upgrade as well. So, yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's exciting, Parth, and it's really great that you've stayed in this community. But you know what? I think the reason you did is because you know how incredible things are under the hood, so to speak, with Joomla. It really is incredible. For those that know, it really is incredible. So it gives me an incredible amount of comfort to know that smart people, brilliant people. I mean, I see some of the things that people code. I look at back-end code, and some of it I don't even understand, but I go, wow, this is absolutely amazing, what people are doing. And, one of a senior level Joomla guys said, hey, quit being lazy and learn how to code. Yeah. And I go, well, you know what? I'm learning things, but my focus is somewhere in the front end, right?
Yeah.
With the end user, the display layer and all that. I am envious of the talent that some of the people have that have made Joomla a reality. They are brilliant people, and I can't thank them enough for what they're
Absolutely,
doing.
absolutely. Completely agree with you. I think all the developers and all the volunteers, I would say, not just the developers, who have kind of made this possible for all these 16 years. Uh, like you said, they have actually enabled a complete economy, right?
Yeah,
They have created so many jobs downstream. So it's pretty amazing.
it is, and you know, people supporting students, like the whole Google Summer of Code thing. That's fantastic. I know that there's Joomla people in North America that they work for companies that manage hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Joomla websites, and they are going after the students in the universities, the computer science students, and showing them what they're involved in, what they're doing. And these young people are going, wow, that's cool. I didn't know about that. And so it's great that there's lots of Joomla evangelists that are out there. We're not hearing about it necessarily in public, but they're out there and they're doing it. And so I'm really happy to be replaced by a young person, you know, that comes in with the same kind of passion. You know, 16 years has gone by pretty
It's a long
fast,
time.
actually.
It's a long time. Yeah.
But it's gone by fast as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
And
It's been a good time.
hopefully I'll be paying attention for the next few years for sure.
I hope you will. I hope you will. I
Yeah.
think it's been great. I mean, today has been really great, and Joe, it's been really fantastic having you. Really, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, and some of your strategies are really interesting. I'm sure the viewers will really enjoy listening to this afterwards as well, and hope they can also follow some of these. We really need the community's help to get more people on to Joomla 4 from Joomla 3, and get more people to join the fresh Joomla 4 bandwagon, so to say. So it's going to be exciting times, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me, and happy birthday, Joomla.
Happy birthday. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a big day.
Yeah, for sure.
Happy birthday and happy new Joomla 4.
Thanks a lot.